Hi everyone, my name's Sarah Merrill and I work as an Admiral nurse at University Hospitals of Leicester. I'm really pleased to be here talking to you today at Dementia UK's Summer School 2021. I will be focusing today on promoting positive communication in the hospital setting. This will range from looking at some of the issues and difficulties a person living with dementia may have, what we need to be aware of and consider, and how we can support more positive interactions for this group of people when they are in hospital. So this slide helps us to think about what we may see in practice. This could be in hospital, but this could also be in a care home, in the person's own home. When someone with dementia is distressed, it's often because they're trying to communicate something to you. You might see their behaviour change at these times. They may become agitated and start to pace around, or they may ask questions like, "Can I go home?" They may also become more withdrawn and uncommunicative. This is when we need to start thinking why this may be. Are they trying to communicate an unmet need with us? Are they anxious or frightened about something? Are they uncomfortable or are they in pain? If we're in a hospital or care home setting, are they disorientated? Someone that is apathetic will be lacking or have no motivation to do things that they previously found worthwhile. You may find them becoming more withdrawn and more isolated. This is when we will need to utilise positive communication skills. There may be additional barriers to communication for someone that's living with dementia. For example, they might have a visual or hearing impairment. Some people experience a condition called hyperacusis, which can cause sensitivity and exaggeration of noise. Certain sounds may seem unbearably loud, even though others don't seem to notice them. This is why it's important that the environment is not overstimulating or too noisy. Depending on the stage of a person's dementia, will depend on their ability to receive and interpret the information that they are given. They may struggle to understand certain accents or information that is too detailed. For some people, as dementia advances, they may have little or no verbal communication. They may have dysphasia, where areas of the brain responsible for turning thoughts into spoken language are damaged, making it difficult for them to select the right words to say. This can, of course, fluctuate throughout the course of the day or from day to day for someone living with dementia. Here I'll discuss the VERA framework tool. This is an evidence-based tool that works on a cycle of interaction, aiming to engage with the person living with dementia. The idea being is to join with the person in their reality, to experience the moment as they are. It uses a step-by-step approach so that it's easy to remember. V is about validating the person and supporting them in their point of view, using your non-verbal communication skills here, for example, a positive body language and facial expressions. E is about engaging in the emotion. This might not necessarily be what the person is saying, but more the emotion behind it. This might not be linked directly to what they are actually saying, but here we try to understand the emotion that is coming across. Are they, for example, sad or frustrated? Reassure is about saying that things are going to be okay. It might be a chance here to speak about who you are and what your role is or where you are. And A is about activity, joining with the person to do something with the information that they have given you. For example, this might be talking more about that subject or moving and looking around, helping them to reorientate and helping them get their bearings. Here is a scenario I've put together for you to get a working example of the VERA framework in action. So Jean is a 76-year-old lady living with vascular dementia. She has poor short-term memory. Her and her husband are in hospital, but unfortunately on different wards due to the specialities that they needed. Jean is getting very upset and confused as she knows that something has happened which has led to her being in hospital. She can't quite remember. She's becoming more restless and repeating that there is somewhere she needs to be. She's also looking for Peter and worried and confused where he is. She doesn't normally leave his side, especially since the last 18 months and how much COVID has brought them together. So working through the VERA framework, Jean didn't recognise her surroundings, but she knew that something wasn't right, and that was what was upsetting her and confusing her. It was important that I recognised that was how she was feeling. She was worried and confused and upset. She had some recollection of what would happen and the events leading up to her fall, but she couldn't quite piece it all together. Here, I was able to reassure her and let her know that Peter was okay, that he was safe, as was she, and that I was able to visit between the two of them to offer that reassurance. The activity that was undertook with Jean was to sit and write a letter for Peter that one of the nurses was then able to take for him. On another occasion, a video call was used. However, this was too confusing for Jean, and it was very upsetting for Peter also to see her in that level of distress. We had to make this clear between the whole hospital team that it was communicated that video and audio calls were too upsetting and emotional for Jean and Peter. Hopefully that just shows you a working example of the VERA framework in action, out in practice. So, some ways to promote and improve positive communication and interactions for people living with dementia. So non-verbal communication becomes more important, and that's even more so as someone's dementia advances. Using open and relaxed body language, mirroring basic needs, for example, would you like a drink? Also allowing time for the person to process verbal conversations. It might take longer for them to understand what you've said and respond to that question. This is about speaking clearly and slowly if appropriate. Extending that time of speech can be more confusing for someone that's got perhaps a short-term memory problem. It's about using shorter sentences, perhaps chunking information so that you're talking about one subject or one topic at a time. This helps to reduce the load of our working memory and helps to reduce the demand on our memory. We would always recommend not to challenge someone and avoid speaking sharply or raising your voice. It's important to give breaks and also to give space to someone, especially if they're becoming frustrated or agitated about something. We use a lot of life story work in hospital and care home settings. So this is your patient profile. They might be known as "This is me" or "Know me better." This really helps us to understand that individual. As Stephanie mentioned, memory aids can be really helpful. Just little notebooks or scrapbooks just to write down what might have happened that day, what the date is, what the plan is and what they can expect to happen next. There's a little image there of a sign that me and my colleague use here at Leicester Hospital. And that's obviously for someone that can understand written text. Just letting them know where they are, that they're safe, and we just insert the name there of their nearest or dearest family member, to let them know that they know that where they are as well. Modelling is a tool that we can use to help with a task, to put a task with an action. So, for example, I might do something to show you how to do it, and then the person could copy me doing that. And reminiscence is something that we also use a lot in dementia care. This helps to stimulate memories from the past and can increase communication. Also mentioned a few steps here to improve a positive environment for people living with dementia. So, for example, clear signage, bright, well-lit environments, and it's about reducing again that stimuli which can provide distraction for people living with dementia. We tend to use quite a lot of coloured crockery in hospital. So, for example, rather than a glass of water being in a clear mug, we like to use sort of red and green beakers, which is easier for someone to recognise sat out on when there's lots of different things on their table. And it's also good to try and reduce the disruption to someone's normal routine. So trying to do their normal day-to-day routine as much as possible. And also, obviously, a big part is helping that person to feel safe and have a sense of security even when they're in an unfamiliar place. So, I think we've just put a few references here for you, and a few of which are Dementia UK references, and they're actually downloadable leaflets that you can get from the website. You can also order them as well if you feel they would be um, helpful in your work setting. And there's a couple of other references there and that you might find interesting. So thank you so much for listening today, and hopefully you'll have some questions or discussion to have with us. Thank you.